What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel in yet another video. I hope everybody's having an awesome day, whatever day you find yourself watching this. But it is a absolutely beautiful day in Tennessee today. We had I think we got upwards of somewhere around 10 inches of snow like last week, and today it's like 60 something degrees. So I'll take it. We got both doors open on the shop, just letting the breeze blow through. It feels super nice. Just days like this make me super happy. Just finished up a glow plug job on one, and today we are going to start our videos on the cab removal and head gasket replacement on a 6-liter Powerstroke. So super excited to start that series. I'm going to touch on every single thing that I do personally when I do one. I pride myself in saying that when I was in business, and even the trucks that I do now for this fleet, I've never had a single comeback on doing head gasket jobs, and I do pride myself on that. So we are going to go over every single thing that I like to do when I do them. And if I miss anything at all that y'all have questions on, please don't hesitate to get in the comment section. Ask away. I will definitely see it, and I will be more than happy to answer any question that I can. But we got the shop all cleaned up here. Always makes me happy when I have a clean shop. Floors are all nice and mopped and swept, ready to start this job. Got my toolbox all cleaned up. This is the way I prefer to start a big job like this. I want all my tools put away. I want my shop to be nice and spick and span, and then I'll start the truck. But real quick, start of this video, I just wanted to tell y'all just how awesome you guys are for subscribing, liking everything. I'm really glad y'all are liking the videos, and I hope to keep it up and make as much cool content for you as I can. I know we do make some videos of goofing off and stuff like that, and then we do make our informative videos. So do bear with me on this video, because it is going to be a long series, because I do want to touch on a lot of different things. So just bear with me on it. It will be long, but we'll get her knocked out. But here's our truck. Some of y'all will remember this monstrosity from one of my very first videos. I think we did brakes on it, or just some general maintenance on it. Thing is on 40s, so you can see just how massive it is compared to that 350 truck right there. So gonna be a good time. I reckon I'll get her pulled in, and may or may not have to pull the front tires off of it. I do have some stock ones. I may end up putting some stock wheels and tires back on it, just because by the time the cab goes up in the air and everything, you really don't have a whole lot of room to work. So that is one thing that I'll probably end up doing. But we're gonna get her fired up, get her pulled in the shop here, and we're gonna get it tackled. So thank you guys so much, and let's do it. All right, so now that I got my lovely little assistant niece to come over and help me line this thing up, since I have no Jeremiah today, it is a pain in the butt to line anything up on this rack because it is sideways. The old man that owned it prior to us, he just had hot rod cars in here, so these big trucks are a pain in the butt to line up on this thing. But we are lined up best we're gonna get right here, and we're gonna get ready to get everything disassembled to get the cab up. So first thing is first, if your truck has steps, they're going to have to come off. Amp power steps, whatever it may be, factory Ford steps, they have to come up because our rack arms pads are going to be right here on this pinch seam and right here on this pinch seam. So right there. Another thing to pay attention to is, I do not know where y'all live, so if you're watching this and you are from a northern state, you need to check this cab corner for any type of rust, because if it's been patched and bondoed, when you pick it up, it's going to fold in. So just a heads up on that to maybe go over your truck real quick before you get it lined up and everything, and see what you need to do about that. So but as far as that goes, we're gonna go ahead and get steps off of it, and then I like to go ahead and, while the truck is still backed out, not exactly all the way on the rack arms here, I'm gonna go ahead just so I can get my doors fully swung open. So steps off, and then now that you can go and open your doors and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and get everything pulled out as far as cab mounts go. So I'll show you everything on that, where they're at and all that good stuff. But I'll go ahead and buzz my bolts loose, not take them out completely, where I can actually work over here without fighting the actual lift. So there's a little tip for you on that one. All right, so I got my my steps off. Make it a little easier to get the cab up in the air. A couple pointers I want to touch on right away as far as cab configurations. Four-door extended cabs, I've never had a problem picking them up as far as having to strap the cab down when you pick it up, but single cabs will have to be strapped. So make a very important note right here that you will need to strap the back of the cab to your lift arm, because if you don't do that, I have seen them fall off the rack. They will just tilt forward. There's no weight distribution there. So make sure that when you do that, you pull your arms up and get it ratchet strapped to the rack arm, and you'll be good. So just don't forget that. But now that I got my seats off, now that I got my steps off, I'm gonna, while the truck is backed up here, I'm gonna roll under the truck and show you everything that needs to be disconnected underneath the truck for the cab to come up. But make sure that when you do this, the truck is where you want it to be at on the lift. I'm just going to show you for demonstration purposes, so I'm not fighting for room underneath the truck. But I'm going to slide under there real quick and show you everything that needs to be disconnected. All right, so first things first, you're going to have a ground strap. It's not going to look like that. It's going to look the way it should be from the factory. But this yellow wire right here that runs from the frame up to the pinch weld right there, go ahead and disconnect that. You just need to take it loose right here and then fold it down, put your bolt back in. It's an 8mm. And then we're gonna slide over here. And then right here, you have your transmission linkage. You can fight that clip right there. It's not terribly hard to get it to pop out. I like to just take my 13mm bolts right there and pop them out. And then right here on your clip, just get you a flathead screwdriver or I like to use a panel popper. It works really, really good. And just pry this out and it'll pop off. It's just a little socket. Once you have that loose, you have you'll also have a wire that has a push pin that connects to this bracket when you take it loose. If you do it that way, you'll have to pop it loose and just set this out of the way. And then we'll come over here. And you're going to have to disconnect both of your wheel speed sensors. There'll be one on each fender liner right there, right next to this cab mount. Just go ahead and pull those, pop them loose, and they'll stay with the frame. And then I'm going to show you, I'll go in a little bit more detail here, but on your emergency brake cable, I'll show you the tool for that and everything, and how I like to pop it loose. And then it'll come out all the way out. You'll have to go ahead and pull it right here as well. Just take your pair of needle nose, and it's just like a push pin style connector, and this will all pull out as one unit, and it will go up with the cab. And then I've just been graced with a truck that has to have rock lights, so I'm just totally blessed for that one. So if you have rock lights, you're gonna have to disconnect all this garbage. I'm not even gonna go into detail on that, so I'm just gonna have to, I'll have quite a bit of time pulling this, but I'm not gonna show you any of that. So if you have rock lights, you have to disconnect them. Hopefully you didn't run them like a ding dong. But next, while you're down here, when you go to pull your cab mounts, we're going to put heat right here in this section on this bolt and get it nice and heated up. That way these bolts come out. You want to melt the Loctite. All right, so now we are under the front of the truck here, and I'm going to show you on the radiator what needs to be disconnected. Just a heads up, obviously have your coolant drained before you do any of this. That way you don't take a bath. But so we're going to, if you look right here, you got your transmission cooler lines. We're going to take this one right here off. So on these clips, you're just going to fold these out and push like that. And just get them out of here. We don't need those anymore. And then I'll show you the tool that we're going to use to disconnect this. These are quick disconnect fittings. If you have an 03 to 04.5, or I think it might have just been an early 03 thing, these will just be screwed in, so you'll have to unscrew this one. And then right here, we're just going to disconnect this clip right here and pull this line loose, and then this one can stay hooked up. So we're going to disconnect that, pull that hose off this hard line, and that's done. And then you're going to need to disconnect your lower overflow hose here. Just a heads up, when you pop this loose, it's going to have a decent amount of coolant come out of it. So get out of the way. Make sure you got a bucket here, because you will take a bath. There's your heads up on that. And then on your radiator hose here, you're going to have a line, this right here. This is a push clip. We're going to go ahead and, this is already disconnected, but normally this would be right here on the fan shroud, the secondary fan shroud. See if I can get you up there and show you. Yeah, it would go right there. I've already disconnected mine. So get you a panel popper and pop it loose. And then, like I said, make sure that's out of the way. And then I'm going to show you the tool that we're going to need to disconnect this line. All right, so here's our tool for our disconnect on our lines. This is an AST part number 8023, half-inch disconnect tool, but it is stepped for the actual transmission lines. So you're going to have to go get you one of these to take your lines loose down there. They can kind of be a pain. All right, so like I stated before, everything we've touched on, you want to take all that stuff loose while you are completely ready for the cab to come up. So do that stuff first, but make sure that your truck is positioned on the rack and not out like this, because then you'll have to pop the transmission back in gear under the truck and everything. So that was just for demonstration purposes while the truck's backed out on the rack here. And next thing that I like to do, I do this while the truck is backed off the rack, so I can open the doors and everything. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to buzz all my cab mounts loose and just leave them maybe 3 or 4 threads where I can just kind of squeeze in between there and just pull the bolts out real quick when the truck is positioned where I want it. But right now with the truck backed up, I can swing the doors all the way out and I can get in there and everything. People do talk about pulling the rear seats. I do not pull the rear seats. You are more than welcome to do that if you want to. But being a one-man show, it is a pain in the butt to get that whole section of seats out. And it is very heavy. So I'm going to show you real quick on where your cab mount bolts are located, what size they are, what panels have to come off inside the truck to get to them, and then I'm going to show you the little grommets where they're where you can get to them. So now go ahead and get your floorboard cleaned out and everything. Do this. I'm just going to show you this side of the truck, but on both sides the same thing will apply. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this kick panel right here. And then in here on this panel right here, you're going to have, let me grab my flashlight real quick. You're going to have a push pin right there up high that's going to need to come out. So get your panel poppers and pop it out. And then you'll need to pull this piece first, and then that piece, and then we're going to fold the carpet back. Alrighty, I got my panels all off, and you're just going to reach up here and pull your carpet back like so. Just fold it where you can get in there. Hang on, let me get my flashlight again. I'm sorry. All right, so right there is your grommet that we're going to push out. This will be the same on both sides of the truck here. You're just going to I like to just push them in. Makes life a little easier. Don't skin your fingers. Pull it out like so. Set it right there. And there is your cab mount bolt. So this will be the same on both sides for the front of the truck. This truck's obviously a 4-door, so this is gonna just apply for a 4-door truck. Single cabs, I believe, just have 2 in the back. I don't think they have a middle row. And then extended cabs, I still believe, have 4. It's kind of the same. Could be wrong on that, but so now we're going to move on to the back of the cab here, and so I'll have to clean all this up, but we're going to get everything off the floorboard here. We're going to pop this panel off here, get rid of it, and then what I like to do first is I like to just go ahead and I'll fold this seat down. All right, so I've now got my seat folded down here, and we're just going to shine our light back here, and right down here, here is your next cab bolt. So this will be the same on both sides. All right, so like I said, I don't like to pull the rear seat, being a one-man show. So like I said, we folded this seat down. We took both of our cab bolts loose on the back here. There'll be one behind each seat that I showed. And then how I like to do this now is, this is the way that I do it. You are more than welcome to pull your rear seat if you feel like you can do that, if you've got another helping hand. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reach down here and I'm going to fold this carpet up out of the way. And I'm going to put my hand down here, and down here in the middle of this carpet, probably about right here, there's going to be another grommet like you had up front here. Just push it out, and then you can use a long ratchet with a short well socket, and you can just sit there and just ratchet it out. It does take a little bit of time, but I mean, it's a lot better than having to fight that seat in and out, in my opinion. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get them out, and then like I said, we're gonna leave every single cab mount. I want to leave about 2 or 3 threads still on it before I move the truck, and then put it on the rack and get the lift arms where I want it and everything like that. And then I'll go through and I'll pull them all back out once the truck's where I want it on the lift. But I just do that because you can see we've got the doors completely open here, and you can't really do that when the truck's between the 2 lift arms here without scratching paint and stuff like that. So like I said, we're gonna buzz these all out, and I'll let you know what size they are on each side. They're 21 and 24 millimeter. but they are kind of spread around the cab area, depending on if the cab's been off. Some people put them in different wrong spots, but 24 millimeter and 21 millimeter is your size for your cab bolts. So we're going to buzz those out, and then we're going to go ahead and push the truck forward and get it ready to do everything engine related. So I did also want to take this opportunity while we are on the subject of cab mounts. More than likely, if your cab has never been pulled, you're doing this for the first time, whatever the case may be, 9 times out of 10, your factory Ford cab mounts are going to be all rotted away and deteriorated. And if you've got any clunking noises, something along those lines driving down the road, the most common one I see is the farthest back one right here on 4 doors. It's usually always gone. So if you're driving down the road, you get a clunk noise, you'll see right now that most of them are going to be deteriorated and gone. This truck has had the cab pulled like 3 times to have this job done, and they've got it wrong each time. So it's got new cab mounts, but if you're doing this job for the first time, I would highly suggest that you go ahead and plan to do cab mounts. Do not get them from Ford. You can get the Daystar ones if you're trying to save a little bit of money, but in my experience, I have seen that they make a lot of noise. They ride rough. They're very stiff. We use S&B cab mounts over here. They just come out, I think, a year or 2 ago. We've put them on every single truck that we've done head gasket jobs on, and they're just amazing. They come with a lifetime warranty. They're made out of silicone. They ride amazing. And they come with all brand new hardware. The Daystars don't. So that's just my little tidbit information here while we're on the subject of cab mounts. But we do highly suggest S&B cab mounts over here. So if you're going to do this job, I suggest you go ahead and pick a set up. That way you are not scrambling to find a set when you start pulling the cab and yours are deteriorated. So let's continue here. Just real quick on our middle cab mounts here, I just want to spend a little bit more time on touching on it. So the way I do is I just pick my carpet up, shove my hand down in there, and you'll have your grommet here. And just real quick, your passenger side is all your 21 millimeters, and your driver side is all 24 millimeters, as long as they were put back in the right spot. But so yeah, I shove my hand down in there, get the grommet out and everything like that, and then on my tools that I use, I just have a long just a long breaker bar flex head ratchet that I use. So I'll bust it loose with this, and then it's obviously going to make your life a lot easier and you're not going to spend as much time. But get you a battery ratchet, and you can wedge it down in there and pick the carpet up with your hand and buzz it out just like that. It'll save you a whole lot of time pulling the seat and a whole lot of time sitting there just with the ratchet going back and forth. Obviously, you're going to need to get under there with a torch and heat them up, because they are Loctited and they can be a pain in the butt to get out. So make sure you heat them up. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. But now that we have all of our cab mounts loose, all of our stuff underneath the truck loose, I'm going to go ahead and get it where I want it. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start pulling all of our engine related parts loose so we can get the cab up. All right, well, now that I've got about 4 hours in deciphering all the rock lights and getting them disconnected, I'm going to show you the emergency brake tool that I have and how to do that. So this is going to be a, where's the part number on this thing? It's a snap-on part number Bravo Charlie Tango 1050. I don't know if anybody else makes this. I'm sure they do, but I have fought these emergency brake cables without this tool, and I'm going to be the first to tell you that it sucks. It is not fun to do without this tool. You will get mad because they're just a pain in the butt. They're even a pain in the butt with the tool. But I'm going to crawl under here and I'm going to show you how to use it, how I like to tackle that real quick. and that way you're not just flying blind on that. All right, so on our cable here, sorry if this is flashy, I'm trying to use flashlight so I can show you better, but we're gonna go ahead and you're gonna need yourself a pair of channel locks here of some sort. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull this cable down towards me as hard as I can, and once I get it as far as I can, I'm gonna latch it right here where it can't go back into this hole. Like so. And now, as you can see, we've got some slack here. We can fight this a little bit here. There we go. Oh, well. Make sure your channel locks are tighter than what I just had them. Try it again. There we go, that's better. All right. Now we're gonna take our tool and either way you wanna do this, it don't matter. So hopefully you can see this, but that's how I've got it. So this top piece is gonna go around this collar, and this piece we're gonna go around the back and pry towards it. So once you've got it like that, we're just gonna squeeze all the way here till it pops, and then without pulling or anything, we're just gonna get this out of here, and just like that. And now what we'll do is we'll take our pliers loose, and then let me pick you up here. And now, if you can see, that little piece right here, this little plastic piece, has two teeth right there. We're gonna squeeze those together and pull towards that direction and pull this out of this cab mount. And then this whole cable is gonna go up with the cab. So I've got it out there just like so. And we're just gonna pull this all the way out. So your first draw it there. Like so. Oh yeah. And then like so. And then now this is what it should look like, hanging down on the fender liner there. And that's gonna go up with the cab now. So just zip tie off here. Yep, so that's all that goes into that. Don't get too awfully frustrated with it. It can suck a little bit trying to get that tool lined up and everything. But just take your time with it, and I know you can get it. So now I have all my stuff disconnected. I've got the truck where I want it on the rack. Spend a little bit of time on that. My lift's a little funny. This was here when we got here. So I think they kind of have it a little cockeyed, so it's a little goofy, kind of hard to line big trucks up on it. But this is where I want my rear lift arm at, right here at this pinch weld. And then we'll come over here, and this is where I want my front one. So right on those two pinch welds on same side on the back here too. And now at this point, I've got windows rolled up, everything's good in the cab. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start on the engine bay, and I'm gonna start by draining my coolant. We're going to be completely flushing the system and going back in with Caterpillar coolant. It's gonna be getting a new oil cooler and everything, so I will not be retaining this coolant. I highly suggest, if you're doing this, just go ahead and dump it and get you some fresh coolant. But we're gonna take our cap loose here because it'll make the coolant drain a lot faster. Put that up there, and I've got my bucket, and we're gonna go ahead and get coolant draining and move on to the next thing. All right, so while we have our coolant draining, I'm gonna show you how to do it like this because my AC machine has been broken forever. But you're going to need you a set of gauges. You can just go and get them from Harbor Freight. You can refill the system like this if you choose to. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on this because I'm not super great at AC stuff. But this is your high side right here. So you'll have a cap on this line you'll need to take off. And then put your gauge here. And then another one right here on your box. This is your low side. So you'll also have a cap right here to take loose. And then get it all plumbed up and everything like that. And then don't vent this to atmosphere. I vent it into a bucket of water. I know that's not the best way to do it, but it's better than just pumping it into the atmosphere and you breathing it. So get you a bucket of water and take your yellow line and just put it down and submerge it in the water. And then you can just go to your waste barrels and just dump it like that. So that's the way that I do it, kind of shade tree-ish, but my machine's been broken forever, so I don't really have a choice. But we're going to go ahead and get the AC system completely discharged now while we're waiting on coolant to drain, and then we'll move on. So on your lines here, we want to make sure that you have these open. But before you make sure that these two are closed. So turn this direction to the right, make sure they're closed. But go ahead and open those. And then what we're going to do, so I've got me a bucket of water here, and I've got the yellow line in the middle, and we're just going to submerge it into some water here. You're going to probably need to hold this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to gradually open these. And you're going to start venting your refrigerant. Don't go too crazy and just crack them open because you're going to make a mess out of that water. And this is going to take a little bit of time. But now just hold your line and let that completely drain until the gauge is completely depleted. If you leave anything in here, I have seen when you take our AC lines off, because they do come off, they will pop off if they have any pressure still in them and cover your eyes and refrigerant and all that good stuff, and it's not a good time. So just make sure those are completely depleted. Take your time with it there. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to pull our Degas bottle off first, get it out of the way. I like to take my lines loose at the engine and on your radiator over here. On your radiator, you need to be very careful. The nipple right here does like to break off. So what I like to do is I'm just going to show you up here because it's easier to see. We're going to slide our clamp off right there. We're going to take our pliers. We're going to grab very gently right here, and we're just going to twist side to side until it breaks loose. And this is going to apply on your pepcock, not your pepcock, your actual nipple on the radiator. Be very careful, you will break it off. So that was just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to put this back where it was. So, take it loose. And then you have a clamp down here. That's kind of a pain in the butt to get to, especially when the truck's on 40s. Okay. Pull that off. We're just going to tuck that right in our bottle. And then you will have a very similar clamp on the lower overflow underneath your bottle here. They will fight you a little bit. Just get it off the best you can and then pull directly straight out. Mine has a clamp on it. So we're going to just get this clamp off, twist, and pull off. And then you're going to have two 8mm right here. I like to just pull them and set them in the cowl here so you don't lose them. So my truck actually has a one of these fine coolant filters. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop my hose loose on the bottle here and let it go over off I don't know if y'all can see that. No, but all right. I'm just gonna tuck this out of my way the best I can here. If your truck has one of those things, that's great. I'm gonna be getting rid of this one. These style coolant filters don't do anything. They're not really that great, and 9 times out of 10 people don't change the filter on them. If you're dead set on having a coolant filter, fantastic. Get on IPR's website and order one of the nice ones with the manifold that goes on the oil cooler. Those actually catch a bunch of contaminants and actually filter everything. But these things off to the side here, all those do are get in the mechanic's way and or yours if you're doing your own work. So we're going to be putting this thing back to the way it was. But now that that's off there, you can go ahead and pull your Diggers bottle out of here. All right, so now we're going to get our intake out of here. This is one of the styles for the map sensor. A lot of times you'll have one right here, so make sure everything's unplugged. This truck has an S&B, so if you have the factory housing, you have your map sensor and a filter minder down low there. But get your sensors pulled off. I like to go ahead and take this apart separately. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull this. That wasn't even tight. How awesome is that? And pull this whole housing out of here. All right. And then you're gonna have, Jesus Christ. You're gonna have your CCV that should be plumbed correctly going into your housing down here. So you'll have to pop that out, get you a new O-ring for this, and make sure you get all your clamps like so. And then, so now we're gonna get our cack pipes out the way. I like to just take this clamp off on both sides. So we're gonna leave our secondary clamp here tight. What'll happen is if you take this loose, what'll happen is a lot of times you'll have problems keeping this pipe from blowing this boot. So just leave this tight, and we wanna keep it bonded together. So we're just gonna buzz. So I like to give it a little shake side to side like what you were just seeing, because it'll help break this clamp loose. And then we're going to do the same down low. What I like to do on down low on the lower clamp is I'm just going to take my clamp and I'm going to slide it backwards and leave it on the actual intercooler. Like so. And now you can just go ahead and pull this thing out of here. Like so. Get it out the way. All right, so same thing on our hot side pipe here. Like so. Before we do that, what I like to do is we're gonna go over here, right here, and we're gonna buzz this 10mm nut loose and take this wire, if you can see it, it's the one that's wrapped in all this insulation. We're gonna buzz it loose because it is the hot to the alternator, And what'll happen is a lot of times you'll be pulling on this, kind of like what you just saw me do. And a lot of times you can contact the stud down here and it'll arc out and scare you. So let's just go ahead and we'll buzz that loose and then we'll take that pipe loose. All right, so like I said, we're gonna buzzer 10 minutes. Shit. Pinch my finger. And then we're just gonna take this right here, pop it off. You can tuck it out the way. And now your alternator will no longer be hot. And we can go ahead and shake this as much as we want here. Like so. Like so. And as you can see, our lower clamp is staying on the intercooler snout. So I do not take this one, it just stays there. And this one does come out with the pipe. So as you can see, I just went ahead and got rid of my useless coolant filter here, and I'll just go ahead and I'm gonna change this entire heater core line back to the way it was, because as you can see, they have got rid of the heater control valve and just had this off to the side. So we're gonna fix that the way it should be. But let's go ahead and we're gonna pop our map sensor line loose here. So let's go ahead and touch on this real quick. I know this is just a cab video, but this map sensor hose will cause a whole lot of issues. So if it's got a hole in it, usually I see them down here where they actually go on the nipple. Just change the hose. You can go get this roll of hose from Advanced Auto for like $2. Just go get you a whole roll of it, and or just a section of it if you're not fixing a bunch of these trucks, and just fix it, because you will run into problems if you don't do that. So let's go ahead, we'll tuck that out the way. And now we're going to take our heater core line off our neck here loose. Yours should have a clamp, like an actual squeeze clamp. This one does not. So no big deal if it doesn't. Buzz this loose, like so. And get it out the way. So this same thing, same little technique, it's going to apply to this hose. This is the number one hose that'll fight you. Just go ahead and grab it, squeeze, and twist. That's all you got to do. That way you're not sitting here pushing and pushing and pushing and fighting it and getting mad. Now that it's nice and broke free, all we got to do is push her on back. And this is going to go up with the cab, so tuck it up under whatever you can there. And now you can go ahead, this is the wire that you pulled off your battery over here. This is for your alternator. You can just go ahead and tuck it out the way. So we're good on that. And now we're gonna move on to, I'm gonna get this AC line loose right here. You're gonna have a 13 millimeter nut right here. This is the number one line that I want you to be very careful on. So I want you to take this nut loose. Don't take it all the way off. And I want you just to rock this line back and forth while you pull up, because this is the number one hose that I see that still has pressure on it. And if you just yank it off, you're gonna be taking a bath in some refrigerant, and that is not fun. So let's get a 13 millimeter and get this thing popped off real quick. All right. This can be pretty tight. Try to hold it if you can. See what I mean? And all your refrigerant can seep out there. So we'll just let that kind of do its thing there. Let it vent the rest of the pressure off. It's gonna make a little bit of mess. And then once that's completely done doing its thing there, we'll go ahead and get that line popped off. Let that thing is done doing its thing there. We're gonna go ahead, buzz this all the way off. Don't lose it. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna take it off like so. Still be very careful. And this can be kind of a pain in the butt, but like so. And now we're gonna put our nut right back where she was at so we don't lose it. Okay, and now this is out of the way. I like to tuck it kind of down here on the belt when I go to pull the cab. That way it's not getting caught on stuff, but I'll show you that later after we get the rest of this stuff done. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our passenger battery out of the way here. These are gonna be 8mm. I like to disconnect my other side as well because this cable will still be hot if you leave our other battery connected. We're going to be taking both batteries out anyway. So also at this point, if yours still has it, you'll have a battery hold down here in the tray. They will be 8mm. They do kind of galled up a little bit, so might be using a ratchet on that. Go ahead. Get that off here. Get that off here. And pull your battery out. At this point, on your ground cable here, you're going to have an 8mm strap that comes off the cable and goes over to the fender here. It's an 8mm bolt. I'm going to buzz it loose. And then, like I've said on a few other things, tuck it out the way and then just put it right back where it was at. Makes your life that much easier. And now we're gonna go ahead and you'll have your starter wire here. This needs to come off on this. When you look at this, the tab up here, it's gonna look kind of funky. You're just gonna grab it and squeeze and then pull this back. It can be kind of a tricky one, but don't overthink it. Just squeeze and pull and it'll come out. This is gonna go and stay with the engine as well as our ground cable here. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to tuck up underneath the belt here. Really, you don't have to do it exactly the way that I'm showing you here. Just find a way that you can tuck everything so when you pull the cab, nothing's getting caught on anything. So back over here, this one's already broke, so no worries. We might go ahead and fix that, but yeah, so that's already broke. But you would have a vacuum line right here that would need to be disconnected. I'll have to find that and fix it. It looks like they've just capped it off, maybe because this truck's on 40s. So you would have a line right here that you're going to have to disconnect, tuck it out of the way where you can find it again, because that's a lot of big thing that people forget. And then back here where I've told you to tuck everything, I apologize. Looks like I did not put it back on. So right up here where I'm pointing in this general area, you're gonna have a ground strap that's supposed to come off the back of the engine and come up here and ground the cab. I have seen a lot of problems with that cable being left loose. I've seen FICM issues, injector issues. You put that cable back on if it was missing and it fixes the problem. So we're gonna go ahead and have to order one of those. It's gone on this truck. So we'll order that, but what I like to do is I'll take my 8mm bolt loose, pull it, route the cable out from underneath the box there, and just tuck it back over on the engine. What we're gonna do is you wanna make sure you have everything off of your passenger hot side battery cable here. You're gonna have a little cable right here that's your power for your cab and a bunch of other stuff. When you go back down, 100% make sure you tighten this up really good, because if this loses connection, truck's gonna die going down the road. So do not forget this cable when you put the truck back together. But make sure everything's loose off this. And what we're gonna do now is we're going to take our radiator mounts loose. Just tuck them out of the way for a second here. These are 8 mils as well. And you're gonna need a panel topper. And we're just gonna go through. You're gonna have, well, oh my God. So they left an intercooler bolt loose there, so that's gone. You should have an intercooler bolt right there that would have a clip that would hold this on. But now you're gonna go ahead and pull your panels like so. Sorry about all the cluster on this truck, guys. This was done by another shop and they just clearly had no business messing with it. But now we're gonna go ahead and pull our cable out here like so. And go ahead and just tuck it on over with your other cable here. What I like to do is just roll it up real quick and just lay it right on top of the engine there. It'll just get set to the side. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my upper radiator hose loose. Like so. And now another thing is if these hoses are fighting you, same exact thing. Grab it real good, twist, and you'll feel it pop loose. Go ahead, get that off there. What I like to do is if yours has a hose clamp, I like to just tighten it back up. That way you don't lose it. You ain't looking for it type deal. So once you got a good bite on it, I like to just tuck it over and put it right there in the intercooler. Or not intercooler, your cold side pipe. Now we're gonna go ahead, before you do that, so I can show you, go ahead and disconnect your fan pigtail and get it just tucked over to the side there. You don't have to do that, I just like to do it. Make life a little easier when you're fighting this stuff. So you can pull it back. So now that I have this the way that I normally have it, what I'm gonna, Jesus Christ, they left all sorts of stuff out of this truck. You're supposed to have two 8mm bolts right here that will hold this shroud on. So now I'll go ahead and buzz those out. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our mounts here, just like that. And what I like to do is we're gonna pull this radiator back, tilt this sideways, and use the other bolt hole. Maybe you might be able to see better here. So tilt it sideways, pull back, and use the other bolt hole. So both your mounts will be tilted this direction. And what that's gonna do is pull this radiator back up against the shroud. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna buzz these snug. Make sure you've got a thin line right here against the actual pinch seam on the radiator. That way it's not being pressed up against the shroud there too tight. And just tighten them up. Now that's out of our way. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this and pull it up. You wanna make sure you go around your water necks there the best you can. All right, so you want to go ahead and get it over your radiator neck there. If yours is cracked and broken and zip tied, I suggest replacing it. All right, so now that we got that out of there, let's move on to our driver's side battery here. You should already have your I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. I'm trying to deal with this stuff. You should already have your passenger disconnected, and this whole cable should be laying on top of the engine. So now we're gonna buzz our ground loose here. All right, so once you have your ground cable loose here, I like to just take it and tuck it behind the dipstick. It's out of the way. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our battery out of here. I do suggest that if your truck's gonna sit for a little while, usually this takes a little while, especially with the machine shop time and everything on the cylinder heads. I do suggest that you do not leave your batteries on the ground, on the concrete. I like to set them on a table, and if you can, put a tender on them. That way they're hot when you go back together with the truck. Now that our battery's out the way, we're gonna have 4 13mm bolts right here holding this battery tray in. 2 up underneath your little relay box here. And we're just gonna buzz those and get that box out of the way. You can just go ahead and set that over there. Just leave these in the box. Now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go ahead and get our box out of here. While we're right here on your Degas bottle lower overflow hose, we're gonna take this hose that comes into your Y here, and we're gonna take it loose and tuck it up. It stays with the cab. So be very careful with this Y. It does like to break if you manhandle it. So we'll just buzz that loose real quick. And then took our hose, same thing, just twist. And then hopefully you can see there's a hole right here where your Degas bottle bracket would have been. So what I like to do is just tuck it back and just shove it right in that hole. And now that's gonna go up with the cab. Same thing down here on your secondary part of your battery tray. Still 13 mils. You don't necessarily have to pull this, but I do find it gives you a little bit more room. It does make your life a little bit easier. You're gonna have, this is gonna stay with the engine. You're gonna have a panel here, or a little pop down there, and then one right here, and one right here. Just like that. And then this is gonna stay, so we'll tuck it off right there. And now you're gonna have a 13 mil down low here. Like so. I like to just keep all my 13 mils right where they were at. That way you don't lose any of these little bolt holders. I don't know what the technical term for these things are. So just go ahead and thread all them back in where they were at. That way you're not losing them, and just set that off to the side. So now we're gonna go ahead and start disconnecting some wiring over here on our fender. On your PCM, we're gonna take our middle one loose here. These just push back and they'll pop loose, just like so. Those are gonna stay with the engine, and then you'll have one right here. You're gonna have a variety of wiring that's gonna have to come loose. I will let you know right now, don't be scared. These will only go back in one area. So don't be paranoid and everything, taking everything loose. They'll only go back into one socket. So we're gonna take all that loose. This is all gonna go with the cab. This is a disaster of a mess here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to show you the best I can. And just tuck everything the best you can out of the way. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt. But all this, yeah, they just made a disaster of it. This is gonna stay with the cab. So all this stuff right here, this is all your MAP sensor, or your mass airflow sensor, I'm sorry, and your cabling that went to your hot side of your battery. So this is gonna stay with the cab. So we'll just kind of tuck that off to the side there. like so. And now the rest of these cables down here, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but these are all going to have to come loose. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. If not, I'm going to show you when I get done here. Like so. Now we're going to take our, oh, I'm losing tools, hang on here. Now we're going to take this small side off the PCM. This is going to be your transmission. And then you're going to have a push pin holding it on way back there that we'll have to take loose. But go ahead and take it loose, it's going to stay. And then just continue on with the rest of all these. Alright, I'm going to reach back here and pop my panel off for the transmission. Just like that, that can be a pain in your behind. Jesus Christ. Whoever did this job before me, I just want you to know that you actually suck, and I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. So now we can go ahead, and this is going to stay with the cab. Or I'm sorry, not the cab. This is going to stay with the frame. Having a brain fart because I'm getting mad. Just want to go back here, make sure all my cables are loose, like so, and get that out the way. Right, how about that? Right, all this should be out of your way. Tuck this on over. So now on your master cylinder, we're gonna go ahead and you got a cable down here we're gonna pop loose. And you're gonna have one on the side here. That one tends to be a pain in the butt. What I like to do is just get up underneath it here and try to push the tab in as hard as I can and then wiggle it without destroying my fingertips. Once you have all those clips undone, just tuck this off up here somewhere. It's going to go with the cab. And now we're going to probably go ahead and start with getting the master cylinder broke loose here and getting the power steering fluid drained. So right here is a hose that's going to come out of your actual reservoir down here. It'll just have a squeeze clamp on it up there. You could probably leave this with the cab if you wanted to, but just for sakes of it not getting tangled on anything or anything like that, I'm just going to go ahead and pop it off so I have more room to work. But same shebang on that. Just take all your hoses and just twist them, that way they break loose And then once I have that broke loose, what I'm gonna do is I like to take this cap loose off there, and I'll just, for a second being, I'm gonna just tuck it out of the way. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this underneath all this stuff right here, like so. And I'm just gonna tuck it right back in my bottle there. And now that's just kind of out of my way. I got a little bit more room to work. And now I can mess with my actual lines up here. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bump this line off. It's gonna stay with the engine. So you will need to you'll need a adjustable, and we're gonna hold the section closest to the hydro boost, and then we're gonna take this actual nut insert loose and then pull this line back. Just real quick before we buzz our lines loose up there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drain this reservoir. But before I do that, you look right here, this one right here, this is your fog lights. We're gonna go ahead and take this loose. And then what we're gonna do is right here is a squeeze clamp. We're gonna squeeze it and we're gonna pop that whole line loose. Make sure you have a bucket underneath it. And we're gonna let all that power steering fluid drain, just to ease a little bit less of a mess when we take these lines loose on the actual hydro boost. So let's do that, and then we're going to go ahead at that point. You're gonna take this loose, slide it on up, get it as far up as you can, and then we have a 13mm bolt that will be holding your steering linkage on. Once you buzz that loose and pry that back and off the steering box, you need to make sure that you do not move the steering wheel or anything along those lines, because you will mess up your clock spring. So just make sure when you buzz that, tuck it up out the way, and just don't touch your steering wheel or touch that shaft. 18mm wrench and an adjustable to hold. I've already popped mine loose. They are a little bit tight. Be careful and try not to scrape your knuckles up too bad. But now we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this backed out completely. And then we're gonna move over to the your right hand side of the hydro boost, and you're gonna have another line like this that's gonna have to come out. It's also an 18. Like so. At this point, you should have your power steering fluid drained. Now we're gonna go to this side. Same thing. Like I said, they are tight, and they do tend to hurt your knuckles a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get it loose. You will probably need a set of stubby wrenches. I have found that they work a lot easier to get in here where it's tight, especially on this one right here. But can be done without it. So. All right. And now I like to just kind of tuck it over here, over where our thickens at. And now our lines are off our hydro boost. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have, I think they're 13 or 15 millimeters nuts that are holding your master cylinder on here. We're gonna take those loose, and then you're gonna have a couple 10 mils holding your ABS module on. You're gonna have to take this loose. On this, you're gonna push this little tab in and then pull this towards you like so, just like your PCM connectors. And then we're gonna wiggle it side to side until it pops off like so, and it's gonna stay and go up with the cab. And then we're just gonna take this and tuck it over with the engine. now that we've got everything loose, these were 14 millimeters, by the way, just a heads up. We're just going to go ahead and this should be loose. We're just going to pull the master cylinder towards yourself, rock it a little bit, it'll come like so. And I forgot a sensor down here, pop that loose. And now this whole thing is going to go over onto the top of the engine. I like to bungee cable it to something if I can, that way they like to fall off when we're picking the cab up. But so we're good on that. And now just going over everything real quick here, make sure I got everything that I need loose. Okay. All right, so now that we're I just wanted to show you close up what I got going on down here. Like I said, disconnect your fog lights down here, this pigtail, get it loose. Now on, like I said, down here on this was your overflow, your power steering reservoir hose. Tuck it up wherever you can find a good place. It's going to go and stay with the engine. And now we are going to, on this line right here, this one's going to stay, but the one closest to actual cab of the truck, we're going to buzz it loose, and it's going to stay with the cab as it goes up. It's a 21 millimeter wrench, or if you can get it down in there, this is a 13/16 that does fit it. I found that works pretty good just on a ratchet, that way, because you're kind of limited to room for down there. So just use that on a ratchet, makes your life a lot easier. And then just go ahead and pop it loose. And it's going to go with the cab, as well as your steering shaft linkage right there that I've already pulled. That right there, like I stated, needs to not move once you have it disconnected. As far as the wheels, tires, everything, it needs to go back in the same exact way that it was. Do not turn your steering wheel whatsoever while the cab is up in the air. Just don't touch it until it's linked back up, because you will mess up your clock spring. But on that, I like to just go ahead and you can kind of see it between all the wires down there. I like to just put the bolt back in. I like to go ahead and put my nuts back on my hydro boost for where my master cylinder was. And then down here, you can see all the wires that get disconnected and stay. So every one of these pigtails will need to be disconnected. It's just kind of bunched up underneath all this stuff here. This is for your ABS module. It stays with the cab, but bump all those loose, they all stay with the engine and or the frame. And like I said, don't be scared of this too much. They will only go back in one way. These are all different, so don't be scared of that. Now, I think what I'm gonna do is move to the bottom there. I didn't disconnect all my stuff just yet down low like I showed, because I was doing everything back off the rack for the cab mounts. But we're gonna pull the creeper over here, get underneath it. I'm gonna pull my lower overflow hose off the radiator, and then I'm going to disconnect both of my trans cooler lines down there. One more thing that I didn't touch on is on your ABS module here. If you see right here, this tab right here is slotted. So right here is where it'll be mounted up. These two right here will have to come out, but this one you can just leave loose. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get down on it down there. So closest to the actual cab has 2 bolts, and then you just have one right here. So take these 2 out and just leave that one loose, and you can pick it up and pull it out of the way. And then, like I've stated on everything else, just put your bolts back in your tabs there. That way you know where they're at and everything like that. You ain't gotta worry about them. Onto this, back to this side, your passenger side here. This line right here, this AC line that comes up, it's gonna be your very first one on the condenser. It's gonna be a 13 millimeter nut. We're gonna take it loose, feed it back through this insulation right here, and it's going to go with the engine. Your lower one, you don't have to touch. It's going to stay with the condenser and the cab. So we're gonna take it loose, feed it back through, and tuck it back up on the engine because it's gonna stay. It stays with the AC compressor. And then we're gonna move on to the final two cab mounts that we need to buzz loose, which is your core support mounts, or just whatever you wanna call them. So now we're gonna move on to our two front core support cab mounts. They're going to be an 18 millimeter. Our previous shop that did this was so generous to leave both sides completely loose. So you know we're gonna buzz those off. This is one of the big reasons that I do want to make these videos. That way, you know, if you do take your truck to a shop and have work like this done, you ain't got to worry about it if you do it yourself, because if something like that happens, you have nobody else to blame but yourself. But when you pay an astronomical amount of money for a shop to do it, that's not something that you should have to worry about. Not trying to bash on anybody or anything like that, but I mean, some stuff that I'm finding on this truck is just pure laziness. So I get everybody makes mistakes, but we're going to get a long extension and an 18 millimeter socket, and we're going to buzz those nuts loose. I like to just leave the washer down there. I like to just leave it on, but get my nut completely out of the way and just set it off to the side there. And do that on both sides there and get it out the way. Back underneath the truck here, I just wanted to touch on this again. Unfortunately for me, my tool did not work. My line disconnect tool didn't work. I reckon because this is an aftermarket radiator, my the shoulder does not fit on this fitting they've got. So it's okay to unscrew it. They're 1-inch fittings. Just make sure that you do not take this one loose or unscrew it, because then the trans cooler that's built into the radiator will fall down the radiator and you'll be buying a new one. But go ahead and unscrew that. But as far as your tool goes, like what I like to do is I'll just get it up on there, and these shoulders will actually go into the line, and you can rotate them side to side and then pull your line straight back, and it 9 times out of 10 pops loose. It's just kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. But take that one loose, take your line loose right here off your hard line. It's just gonna go with the cab. So right there, go ahead and let it drain the best you can, because all this stuff will drain on your head if you don't. And now I'm gonna bump my lower radiator hose loose and let it drain. And just a heads up, like I said before, when you take this loose, you're gonna have quite a bit of coolant come out, so just be prepared so you don't make a mess or take a bath. Now real quick, before we start getting ready to just go gun-ho and pick her up, what I like to do is I want to make sure, double check everything, go back through. I want to make sure all my cab mounts are back, all the bolts are back out of the holes, and make sure that my lift arms are where I want them and everything like that. I'm going to be comfortable working under it. And what I like to do next is I'll go ahead and go up to about my first block, and you'll have about a gap about yay so like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my step here, and I'm going to put my feet in the holes for the tow hooks, and we're going to get up here like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shake the frame side to side like this, and I just want to look, and I just want to double check, make sure everything, nothing looks like it's getting hung up. Alrighty, people. As you can see, our cab is in the air, and as you can tell in that video, what I like to do is I'll go up on the very first round where we're just now starting to pick the cab up. What I'll do is I'll slowly go up and go to my first lock, and then I'll check everything, make a full lap around the truck, do what I showed you on shaking the frame with your feet there, and just looking and making sure there's nothing really attached or being dragged up with the cab. And then what I'll do is I'll just, as I go up, I'll eventually get to a point where I know there's nothing connected, as you can tell in that video, and you're good to go after that. But one thing I did want to touch on real quick, I didn't say anything before we peeled the cab, is you want to make sure that you've got this arm where it's not going to make contact with the bed. I have seen that before. You got to kind of pay attention right there. And if they've got a toolbox or anything along these lines, just pay a lot of attention right in this back section of the truck when you're going up with the cab. That way, you know, you don't catch anything or damage anything. But I don't know if you can tell just how massive this thing is. But I mean, like, I'm 6 foot tall, and it's this old pickup right here is level with my my face. So definitely going to be dropping some tires off this to work on it. Yeah, so once again, as you can tell, I made my laps around the truck while we were picking the cab up. I just want to make sure there's nothing I forgot when we're going up with it, and just double check everything. This right here likes to get caught on a bunch of stuff when you're going up. So just take your time with it. You know, don't get in a rush by any means. You know, the faster you try to do things, the faster you're going to mess something up. So just take your time, go slow with it. You 100% can do this. I know it's scary when you first tackle it. I know when I've pulled my first cab, I was really scared. But I mean, you can do this. I 100% believe in you guys. I know that when you're looking at it, it just looks like a cobbled up mess. But, you know, you got it. And then when you go back down with it, we'll make a separate video with that. But you know, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull everything off and set it off to the side, and then I'm going to end the video and go ahead, and the next video is going to be me tearing the engine apart. But yeah, so I'm going to set everything off to the side, and then we're going to wrap it up. Alright guys, so as you can see, I just pull everything off the top of the engine there, and I like to just move it over. These will flex. Just go ahead and move this over, set it on your tire, and just everything you pulled off, just go ahead and get it out of the way. And then we'll start on engine teardown in our next video. But just everything, we're just gonna pull it off and set it to the side, set this whole battery harness down here on this tire, and that is going to wrap it up for me, guys. This is going to be the first video in a series of doing a full head gasket job on a 6-liter Powerstroke and everything that I do when I tackle one. So I really hope that this is helpful for you guys. I hope that you're not scared to tackle it. I have the utmost faith in all of y'all. I know you can do it. But I'm going to wrap it up there. I just wanted to just state real quick that you guys are awesome. I can't thank you all enough for subscribing, watching the videos, commenting. even if it's, you know, you don't like it or whatever it may be. I still appreciate all of you. And if you have any questions whatsoever on this video, please do not hesitate to ask down in the comments. I will not hesitate to answer you guys. I'm pretty sure I covered everything in the video, but if I forgot something, please call me out on it. I'm pretty sure I got everything. But that is a cab removal on a 6-liter Powerstroke. This is going to apply to 05 to 07 trucks. The 03 to 04.5 trucks are just a little bit different as far as the ABS module goes and stuff like that. But pretty much everything's identical, you know, just a little bit different locations on stuff. But like I said, that's where I'm wrapping it up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.